One of my favorite fantasy genres is that of sword and sorcery, and in that genre, the Red Sonja franchise sits pretty much at the top, challenged only by Robert Howard's iconic Conan. Created in 1973 by Marvel Comics as a female counterpart to Conan the Barbarian, the character was inspired in part by Conan himself as well as another of Howard's characters, Red Sonja with a Y, a character from the Shadow of the Vulture short story. Sonja of Hyrcania is a traditionally heroic figure, strong in both mind and body. She has a good moral compass and a disdain for the debased and unnatural. While she often receives leers and jests from the men she encounters, they in turn find that she is their equal, if not better, in combat, and for good reason too. When she was a child, Sonja lived in peace with her family, playing with her brothers and watching from afar as her father taught them the sword. But one day, vile brigands took the torch to her home, the sword to her family, and Sonja herself was defiled at their hands. Fleeing into the woods, she found herself visited by an apparition, a spirit, or perhaps a goddess, who bestowed Sonja with the strength and skill to wield a blade better than any other, with Sonja herself swearing an oath to never lie with another man whom cannot first best her in battle. Empowered and emboldened, Sonja took revenge on her tormentors and began her solitary journey. Her skill with a blade and her hardy temperament allow Red Sonja to journey about, often as a hired blade, though she finds herself frequently caught up in conflicts larger than herself. Regardless, the Hyrcanian stays true to her own path and is always ready for the next adventure. Red Sonja first appeared in the pages of Conan's comic book, but soon found herself in a solo run. Over the following decades, Sonja would go on to appear across various media, with her character and backstory changing a bit each time, and she still has comics being made to this day, though under Dynamite instead of Marvel. And while I'm a fan of many of the Red Sonja comic stories, I was very pleased to discover that a series of novels were written for the character in the 1980s. Sure, comics are fine and all that, but there's just something special about reading a story on page and letting your mind visualize the adventure. A total of 6 novels were produced between 1981 and 1983, written by David Smith and Richard Tierney, and they all featured cover art by renowned fantasy artist Boris Vallejo. As far as I'm aware, these are the only Red Sonja novels in existence, and, as far as I can tell, each novel has only ever had one printing. This has made tracking them down a bit of a pain, with online prices being kind of all over the place. Fortunately, thanks to a very good friend's help, I was able to pick up all 6 novels and give them a read. All in all, I found these novels delightful. They're full of the wordplay and visceral imagery I'd long come to expect from sword and sorcery stories, and while the novels are all connected, they are for the most part enjoyable, self-contained stories. In stark contrast to modern-day heroines, Red Sonja herself was rarely the center of the story. Instead, she often found herself, either by chance or intentionally, pulled into plots and battles larger than herself. And while she is often critical to resolving whatever conflict is occurring, she is just as often a spectator to someone else's story. These 6 novels all share common themes discussing the morality of men, the emphasis on choice, and holding yourself to higher standards. Red Sonja herself embodies the virtues of strength, honesty, and loyalty, and she, in turn, finds several true companions across many of the books that share these same qualities. The villains of the stories, contrastly, are almost exclusively treacherous, self-serving sorcerers who enact some grand scheme for their own benefit, usually with plans of global conquest. Magic is itself a constant force throughout the books, and at many times the reader and Red Sonja herself need to be reminded that magic, like any other tool, is not inherently evil, merely as good or bad as the one who wields it. As a whole, while I don't think these 6 stories are the absolute best fantasy novels, I did greatly enjoy them and would gladly recommend them to anyone with an interest in sword and sorcery. And if you liked this brief introduction to the Red Sonja novels, please leave a like or share this video with a friend. I'll be summarizing and reviewing each of the novels individually in future videos, so if you want to see those reviews, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Finally, this video was brought to you by my wonderful patrons. Patrons support the channel with their donations and in turn get early access to my lore content. If you want to help out, check it out. A link to the page will be in the description below. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.